She had more confirmed kills than most of her male counterparts combined, yet in court, they treated her like a criminal. What started as a routine court hearing turned into a full-blown reckoning. When a decorated SEAL sniper was humiliated in front of cameras until one unexpected witness arrived and changed everything. Have we gone too far in forgetting the quiet heroes? Comment below. Should combat records matter in a courtroom? Yeah. Your answer might shape the next story. She wasn't in uniform, but her presence carried it. Chin up, back straight. Not a twitch of emotion. Lieutenant Commander Elise Rowan stood silently as two bailiffs approached her from behind. Then, without hesitation, they cuffed her. In front of everyone. No Miranda, no warning, just metal on wrists and whispers in the gallery. What they didn't know, they just put handcuffs on one of the most elite snipers in modern Navy. History, titles fade. Service doesn't. As they walked her to the defendant's table, one of the clerks leaned toward the bench and whispered something to the judge. He paused, blinked, then looked more closely at Elise. He straightened slightly. In his chair, the courtroom still didn't understand, but something had shifted. Whispers can precede avalanches. The charge. Disobeying protocol during an unauthorized engagement in eastern Syria. The accusation. She ignored a direct order, took independent action, and compromised command authority. Wow. But the real story? Her decision saved 17 lives, including a kidnapped US diplomat and 2 allied operators. Her team had called it nothing short of divine timing. Command called it paperwork insubordination. Sometimes command hides behind paper. The prosecutor insisted she be held in restraints, claiming she had bypassed authority before and could be a procedural threat if the case was allowed to go public. Never mind her clean service record, or her Bronze Star, or the fact she'd voluntarily walked into court with no complaint, no prior arrest. Just quiet efficiency and loyalty to the same oath now weaponized against her. Silence is often mistaken for compliance. The gallery was filled with everyday civilians. Reporters, observers, few recognized the woman with steel in her posture. To them, she was just another accused veteran, but her arms bore the slight sun scarring of Middle East tours. Her eyes had that deep, calculated stillness that only comes from watching death move. She didn't twitch, didn't flinch. She sat like she was still on Overwatch. Real warriors never leave the battlefield. Then the courtroom doors opened, and everything stopped. A man entered, flanked by no one, wearing a dark civilian blazer over a crisp navy shirt. Silver hair, unmistakable walk. Admiral Charles Hewitt. Retired, Silver Star, career legend. He hadn't been called to testify. He came on his own. No one had seen him walk into a courtroom in over a decade. When legends move, silence follows. Hewitt had once led the very unit Elise was being scrutinized for. He had commanded her from afar. And, according to internal sources, he had fought to keep the records of that operation sealed, knowing what exposure might do to those who served with distinction. But this, seeing her cuffed, that had crossed his line. Honor sometimes walks alone. The judge asked him to take a seat. Hewitt nodded and stood anyway. From the back row, his voice cut through the courtroom. She saved more lives that day than any man I've ever commanded, including myself. The room held its breath. No one interrupted. Truth doesn't wait for permission, as Elise sat motionless. One of the junior officers seated near the prosecution scheduled to testify. Against her began to tremble. Mid-questioning, he broke down. Voice shaking, he said, "She gave an order to evacuate. I hesitated. She dragged me out. Seconds later, the building blew." This wasn't about disobedience anymore. It was survival. Stories rewrite themselves if someone speaks. If this stunned you, just wait. Subscribe for stories that uncover the unseen courage buried behind headlines. And comment, should classified heroes be dragged into public trials? The judge asked Elise directly, "Why didn't you say any of this? Why didn't you submit a statement?" She looked him in the eye and replied, "My teammates speak louder than I do." She didn't add a word. Didn't need to. The judge froze for a moment, visibly rattled. Dignity doesn't shout, now under pressure from media attention and Hewitt's Intervention. A federal committee requested sealed records of the operation. Within 72 hours, partially redacted files were released. The logs told a different story than the accusation. The mission had gone sideways due to a command miscalculation. Police had taken control when communications failed, which was the reason. Anyone came home. Secrecy only lasts as long as silence holds. Her record, once buried, now poured into headlines. 39 confirmed kills, 11 high-risk hostage rescues, multiple commendations for courage under fire. Not a single incident of civilian harm. Her efficiency was surgical, her leadership decisive, her loyalty absolute. She had never asked for a promotion, let alone praise. Excellence doesn't seek applause, but the prosecution wasn't done. They pivoted, claimed that even if she saved lives, she had still violated the chain of command. That structure must remain intact even under fire. That argument might have held. Until Admiral Hewitt stepped forward again. She didn't break the chain, he said. She rebuilt it in real time while under fire. The crowd stirred. Some began to murmur audibly. Some truths burned too bright to hide. Some tactics collapse under truth. On the final day of trial, the courtroom looked different. Rows were filled with uniformed veterans, some in full dress. Navy SEALs, Rangers, Marine Recon. They weren't there to disrupt. They stood quietly side by side as Elise entered. Some even saluted. The gallery was at capacity. Outside, cameras rolled. America was watching. Respect travels in silence and numbers. When the judge delivered his ruling, it came with unexpected clarity. The charge was dismissed. Her record, fully restored? This court finds no misconduct, he said. What we see instead is an operator who did her duty, and then some. No apologies, no fanfare, just a return to dignity. Some trials end with justice. What followed wasn't customary. The gallery clapped. Slowly, then steadily. Even the prosecutor stood. The judge didn't stop them. It wasn't a performance. It was a reckoning. It's a moment where the system just briefly remembered what it owed. When the room claps, it's not for drama, it's for truth. Elise didn't stay for interviews. No press tour. No best-selling memoir. She returned to Coronado 2 weeks later and quietly rejoined a mentorship program for female special operators. She trains the next generation now, quietly, relentlessly. She doesn't wear her medals, doesn't mention her name. Grew heroes. Fade into mission. Outside the courthouse, Admiral Hewitt was swarmed by reporters. Gave them only one sentence. She's the best we ever had. You just didn't know her name until now. It'll world does. Elise Rowan reminded us that legends don't always speak. Sometimes they just wait until the right person finally listens. Next, we tell the story of a Marine who stood trial for treason at Tildrone. Footage proved otherwise. This video is for storytelling and informational purposes only. Always consult official military and legal sources for verified information.